Welcome back to IndianTrace. Sometimes you just sort of have to kick it off and go for it. And I often do that. There's a quality of the artifacts that you're looking at that puts them all in the exact same category. And what you're looking at, and they're not big. So I know the camera sometimes plays tricks on your eyes. They're not big. I can take this whole pile and grab it up in my hands, about 26, 27 artifacts. So they're small. They're my small Guilfords. And believe it or not, this is going to turn out to be another giveaway. I am so humbled, so thankful as you look at these, that I even have the opportunity to consider such a thing. I've got so many great responses, so many people to tell me, what you're pulling in a week or two is more than I even dream of finding in a year. As I said to many of you, and we're going to get through these with about the same rules as before. These are Guilfords, and it's going to be a great thing. Some of them will come out, I guess, that I'm going to move on and give away. Because my bin that holds all of these, one bin in my tackle box, in my display box, holds all of these points. And I had some more room, but it was time. I am making an inventory and doing a good job of it because I have great pieces that will keep coming in, I'm sure of it. So this is a Guilford giveaway for sure. Now, as I go through this, remember, as we take a good look at this from different angles, if I can get them, look at these points. They're Guilfords, that's for sure. The materials, very common to eastern central North Carolina here. Just a good look at them. So the way it works, if you're just tuning in, or if you know IndianTrace, and thank you, all of you, for tuning in, is that from this pile over here onto the right, I'm going to make a pile. That's the pile on my right that I'm going to keep. And over in this pile here, if I move it over to the left, and watch as I do it, those are the ones I'm going to give. Many. There's been 7 or 8 great winners so far, and I'm just going to go through and continue to follow my heart on this for the different things I need to do inventories on. None of my top shelf stuff, which is the top compartments of my display box. I usually haven't touched those because those are my top shelf stuff. And it's all, to me, really top quality stuff. But as I do this and begin to go through some, I just want to make a mention of one thing. I finished the editing. Let's take a look at these. I finished the editing of IndianTrace, Volume 1, the book that I'm writing. Finished editing last night, finally. So keep an eye out for that. Volume 1, I actually have already written. I just really have to get that together and lay it out and edit it. Volume 2 of IndianTrace. But IndianTrace, Volume 1, is about finding the evidence of which we are so keen to do, of the North American Indian. Nice piece, right? That's going over to the right. IndianTrace Volume 2 is a little bit different, but it's coming up. I'll talk about that some other time. But finding the evidence of the North American Indian, there are so many aspects about it, and I always share them on my channel. But important things, look at the color of this Guilford. Natural light's doing it. That's going over to the right. All right, let's keep looking at this stuff. Nice Guilford right here. They're all absolutely beautiful. I put them in my small Guilford's bin, and this is a step up away from my C3s for sure. That's going to go over to my left. It's just sort of a fun game that I play when I'm doing some inventory, and maybe every 3 years I'll do it. Who knows? Who knows? This is a nice piece, Guilford with a little relief at the back. Found that at Hidden Hill. Another great Guilford. I have no earthly idea how many I will be able to give away. I'm sure I'll be able to give some because I'm just doing an inventory. I'm putting all those over there because they touch my heart. You know how that works. And so we just keep going through them. Now you'll see there's a few crystal Guilfords or quartz Guilfords. I can't even get this volume. Excuse me. The focus working. Now, how do you win these this time? Well, as you know, I usually put criteria of a question that you need to answer, and then I'll read through them all and think about them. And I mean, this last giveaway, it's already gone out the door. The winners have already been secured. Nice piece right there. I just happen to be coming across pieces that I haven't been ready to part with yet. And that happens. I knew I looked at this and I saw quite a few that I was going to give away, so we'll probably come upon them. But it usually works. I'll ask a question or give you something. Let me see if I can get these in focus that you need to respond to. Look at these pieces. And make a comment about, so that I can figure out where your heart is concerning these artifacts, because they're valuable, they're worth collecting, which is what IndianTrace Volume 1 is about, in finding the evidence in North American Indian, exploring the whole content of thought behind our collection, which is what I continually stress myself to do. But I'm taking a look at things as we go. Hills of Guilford, Ufa. What did I say? Guilford, Yuma. Nice piece. That's going over to the left. I remember finding this right here at Crosslands. Look at the work on the edges of this Guilford. Very rare. The quartz Guilfords I found are much less common. Much less common. Here's a great piece. Look at the shape of this. And look at where they hafted it in. That is awesome, isn't it? So, how can you, and I have been moving some over, so we're going to have some great Guilfords right there. Here it is. And it's a completely different aspect of this question than the others. And I've asked some others before, and they've been answered so great. And with the Guilford, since I like him so much, sometimes I get brain locked when I'm looking at him and going through them. You know, I would like you to be able to share with me, at least according to your opinion, what your heart is about what the greatest motivation to collect artifacts for you is. Now, I have asked the question, what's the most important quality of an artifact collector? Now, I want to know the greatest. What do you think the motivation is that so many people find it so enjoyable and find it so important to collect these artifacts? I mean, what in the world? Most of the people that we know, you and me, that collect these artifacts, nice piece, isn't it? A lot of them are going over to the right. I mean, there's a lot of stellar pieces, but I took a glimpse. Like I said, remember, there are quite a few in this pile that I'm going to be giving away. Pile's still there. I mean, the one bin fits so much. Like this piece from Saponi. Different colors. That's a great piece, though. I remember finding that, so that has a lot of special qualities to it. So, what I was saying is that I want you to share with me in comment what the greatest motivation you feel that motivates people to go out and seek and save these artifacts. I mean, what on earth do they do it for? You and I are not, for the most part, North American Indians. It's not in our blood. I mean, in majority. Some of us might have some North American Indian in our lineage. Many of us do. But what do you think it is? Nice quartz piece, isn't it? It's going over to my left. That motivates us. You know, I've thought through that. Part of all of the thinking through these things is also encapsulated in the two books, IndianTrace Volume 1 and IndianTrace Volume 2. But, I like to hear from people. It gives me ideas. It helps me to think through things. And, I mean, there's a lot of great minds out there when it comes to collecting these artifacts. Look at those. Let me see if I can get through all this stuff. Look at this piece right here. Another quartz Guilford. And that's going left. Sometimes just in your heart you feel you should just go ahead and do it in that piece. Mercy. Nice little Guilford here. I've always loved that piece. But sometimes, many times, in doing inventories, and listen, I have hundreds and hundreds of stellar, incredible artifacts. Why me? Why have I been able to identify through these areas? Now, granted, with my sites, a lot of people hear me say, well, I have maybe 80 sites, 80 spots, but I've checked 800 different fields. I'm in farmland. I'm in rural eastern central North Carolina. So I've been able to check them with my propensity to go out and originally be a distance runner, still am, but that gives me the ability to cover great distances, fording streams and going through woodlands, and that's great. I found that right next to Hidden Hill. Always like that one. That's going to go over to my left. Remember, if you want to win, and I've already got a great group going. Look at these. Some artifacts. Hands down, nice Guilfords. Just share with me what you think the greatest motivation is. Why all these artifact shows? Why are people so stirred up about it? What's the mystique behind it? What is the real motivation, do you think, for people doing this? Why on earth, right? It's worth contemplating. It's a fun question to answer. Another Guilford Yuma. I found that at the Bear. Here's one I found at the Dunes. And just a good opportunity to see. I don't know if I'm really messing people around with the focus. Look at that piece right there. Nice piece. It's going over to my right. Look at this little piece here. Little Guilfords, right? A couple up here. This is from Stone Hill, which is right next to Mecca. Look at the relief on the back of it. It's a great point if you can get it in this. Look at this. Good show of it. So just an opportunity to snag up some great Guilfords. I found this one at Hidden Hill. You've heard me mention that today. Nice piece. It's going over here. And that's a group already. Just worth a little bit of thought. Now, I had a question come in as we finish here. And I haven't decided about this one yet. Just love it. It's a great Guilford indeed. Out of rhyolite. And since I have a wealth of small Guilfords right here, just a blessing. This piece here, which is a blessing as well, is going to my left. I love it though. But that's okay. I know the spirit of the North American Indian. I'm sure of it. I know how they functioned and how they operated. To a degree. Nothing hands down, of course. We're talking about an ancient race of peoples, plural. So many different aspects to their race. It's a good show right here. Make them all real visible so we can see them all. Right here, you're looking at what you can win. Just share with me what you think the greatest, I think, universal motivation in people wanting to save these. Explore it. What do you think? Why? If somebody asked you, why on earth do you go out and try to save these artifacts? Is it a superficial reason? Or is there any depth to it? Appreciate you tuning in IndianTrace. And between this, I winnowed that out. And this, those are my small, top quality Guilfords. Many of them. Just fun stuff. But before I go, let me mention this, and we'll take it really slow because these are really good looking point. The political interest links, I had a question come in. It says, how do you really balance alternative news? How do you know what's true? How are you personally led in terms of the news that you're able to gather and what's going on in the world and that sort of thing, in our government, in our president, in our administration, that sort of thing. And I tell them I have gone through to choose about, and they're on my subscriptions, look at these points, to choose about 5, maybe 6 political alternative news feeds, and I will balance those between one another. and I might listen to a couple things, a couple spots on the radio when I'm going here and there in the car, whether it's Rush or whether it's Hannity, but I will balance these news. And I've also flushed the toilet on news that is continually shown to be lying to the American public. To me, that's like the epitome of distasteful. So I flushed the toilet on that, and I look to work real hard to balance and contrast the other news reports. Nice points. And these are the points, and you can go back if you don't remember how to win them. They're very winnable, as many of you know, and many, I think 5 or 6, 7, 8 people have won some really great points. It happens quick. So that's how I find my news and sort it out, contrast, compare and contrast, and think, make my own decision. That's the most important part of it all, and I encourage everybody to do that. So from IndianTrace to you, I hope you win out there.